Our first step with actually sewing our dress and the bodice of our dress is to pin and sew our bust and our back darts. So we've marked on these darts and we need to actually pull that or fold that fabric in, and we're going to pin it along the line that we've marked. And you need to do a little bit of going backwards and forwards to sort of check that it is actually going through the line on both sides. Okay, so that's going to make sure that we are lining that dart up evenly. This gets trickier if your dart is a bit more curved, which will be the case around the front where it's going around the bust. So on a very small piece like this, I really only have to put two pins in, but on a bigger one, you would definitely have about 4 or 5 pins pinning that in so that you can really make sure that you've lined it up properly. So you'll do the same to the other side of that pinch together down the center of it, trying to keep it even to start with. Sometimes if you've never done this before, this will actually take a little bit longer. So okay, there's a good example. See, I've put the pin in, I can see I haven't matched them up evenly, so I need to pull it along this way a bit more, put the pin in again, and now I've gone too far. Fold it a little bit more that way, and now I'm spot on. So sometimes it takes a little bit of going backwards and forwards to get to the right spot. So I'm going to pin these up, and now I'm going to pin all the other ones up as well, and I'm going to sew following that drawn in line that I've got. Of course, I will back stitch at the top and at the end, and I want to, especially at the top bit here, I want it to actually ease all the way off the fabric pretty much. So I'll show you that on the sewing machine, and I'll show you why you don't want to stop short of that fold, because it's going to give a funny little bump in the fabric. So I'll pause the video here, I'll pin them all up, and then I'll take you over to the sewing machine to sew these up. So I'm over at my sewing machine now. I've got all of these pinned up, just making sure that my sewing machine is on the right stitch. So I've got it on a straight stitch, and that means I need 0 for my width and about 2.5 for my length. I'm going to drop mine down a tiny bit lower just because I'm working in such a miniature version. So then I'm going to, it doesn't actually matter whether you start from this end or that end, and I'll try and get my hand out of the way of the camera, and I'm going to follow that line that I've drawn. And remember, I mentioned just before that I want to actually ease on and off the fabric. So I don't want to start into the fabric, I want to start on the very, very edge. So take a little bit of time to shuffle your needle around. I even start sometimes by doing the first stitch using a hand rotation, back stitch of course, and then I'm following that line around nice and evenly. And back stitch at the end. So that's one dart sewn. So you can see how it looks from there. Hopefully that's coming up on the video. And from the front, it's going to open out like that. And when I iron it, it's going to sit nice and flat. So it's the same with the other ones. Now if I wanted to, I'll just show you what it's like to start from the other side as well. Just quickly swap my pins around to the other direction. It is really important that you do all of this really accurately. So that's, I mean, you need to be accurate with everything from your first pinning and cutting and then tracing on your dart line, because if you haven't started accurately, we throw these pieces out, so straight away you're going to have darts that are coming to a different height as each other, and then the bodice piece might not match the lining for it. So we do need to make sure we're doing it evenly from the very start. So tracing around my line, sewing around my line. So when I come to here, I want to make sure that I come all the way to that edge, even by doing a little hand rotation in there. And a back stitch. Just going to quickly show you what it will look like if I don't. So I'll use the lining piece to show you what it will look like if I actually start more into the fabric and I don't ease off that edge properly. So for this one I'm going to start just a tiny bit. I'm really only about 2 or 3 millimeters in. So it's not much at all. And I'm probably even just back stitched up a bit further again. So if I didn't go all the way and ease off, I'm sorry, white on white's probably a bit hard for you to see. If I didn't go all the way up to that very edge, I actually get this sort of little kinky bit, and it can look a bit funny. So it is really important that you sew them up all the way to the edge. So I'll finish sewing these up and then we're going to iron them. So I will show you on the video ironing because that's a very important step. I'm ready to iron now. When I'm ironing, it's a great idea to be really trimming back all those loose threads really nice and neatly, because otherwise you get left with little bits of loose thread that get caught up in other seams and tangled in the wrong place, and then it just throws off your quality control and you've got more to fiddle around with later. So particularly for the front and the back with darts, we want to iron them in either both inwards or both outwards. And it's actually a bit of a design choice which way you go. And it will sort of change the look, because whichever way I fold them, so if I'm folding them both out towards the side seams, it's actually going to give a slight impression, hopefully the video picks it up, that the side pieces are sort of overlapping the front piece. I actually prefer myself to have it look like the front piece is slightly overlapping the side. So my preference is generally that I like to iron them inwards, but again, it's kind of a design choice really. You just don't want to iron, say, both of them off to the right or both of them off to the left, because you can, it's subtle, but you can sort of tell. So when I'm ironing, I'm making sure that I do give that pull on that fabric so that it's opening out my seam and I'm not actually ironing a fold in that I don't want. So now it's sitting out nice and flat, and you can actually see how this is going to start to curve around a bodice shape. Right, so I'll iron all my other pieces and then we'll move on with the next step. So that's all for this step on doing the darts. Bye.